And welcome back, everyone, to the Just One More Level podcast. I am your co-host Christian,
And I am your co-host, John.
and this week we played a little bit of Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus on
Mhm.
PS2.
Yep. Yes, we did. What a game, man.
What a
What a
game!
game.
What a game!
I loved it. I loved it.
That's
I'm not
good. And
even
wait, so I was curious, right? Whenever you mentioned doing this one, it sounded like have you never played Sly Cooper before? Like
No,
this is your first exposure to it,
this is my first time ever playing Sly Cooper. I had a
bro. That's
neighbor
crazy.
that had this on the PS2,
Yeah.
and he never really wanted to play it. I think he was just kinda over it by the time that I was hanging out with him. It was like,
Okay.
I don't know, 2007. We were going into
Right.
middle
Okay.
school. He was like a year older than me, so he was into like Jak 2 and Jak 3, and he was playing older
Gross.
games like I think God of War and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So
Sure.
he was just kind of over it, but he was my only way to play PlayStation 2 until eventually I grew up and bought one for myself from a Goodwill.
Right.
So
Okay.
that was my only exposure to Sly Cooper. I knew that it was similar to the games that I had played before, like Ratchet and Clank and Jack and Daxter, but I didn't know to what
Kind
extent
of.
or what it was
Yeah.
about or something like that. So I got a chance to play it, and wow, I love it.
That's
I love
awesome,
everything
man.
about it. I love the
See,
gameplay. The gameplay is sharp, responsive, quick. I love the art style, the cell shaded character graphics, and the stylized world that Sly Cooper is in. I love it.
oh yeah, no, see, and I mean, for me, this is, to the best of my memory, the
Mhm.
first PS2 game I've ever owned. If I
Okay,
remember correctly, my mother brought home a PS2 one day randomly with a copy of Sly
mhm,
Cooper and was like, "Here you go, these are yours." So
gotcha.
like it was my first exposure to the PS2, and yeah, no, I loved it then. I love it now,
Mhm,
and I agree 100% with everything you said. Like the art
mhm,
style that they went with is fantastic. We've gone on record many times of saying that in most situations at least
yeah,
something stylistic is much ages much nicer than hyper
yes,
realism or anything along those lines, and that holds up
absolutely.
100% here. It still looks, even though it's on the PS2, it looks relatively crisp, relatively sharp.
It does.
All of
Yeah.
the models hold up because even though like the
Uh-huh.
models are a little bit chunky and things, they played
Mhm,
into that with their art style, right? It works
exactly.
with
Mhm,
the world. Everything is kind of a little shifted, a little crooked, and just doesn't quite sit right. And that
mhm,
allows them to have like sharper angles on things that maybe shouldn't have sharp angles and still
right.
have it look really freaking good. Like
Yeah,
it
exactly.
looks
Yeah.
great. And as far as the controls go, yes, it does control very well. There are a couple problems, I think, just some small things that
Oh,
haven't
sure.
aged perfectly, but
I
they're
have some gripes.
minor,
Yeah.
minor
Yeah.
at best, or at worst rather.
Right.
Um
Right, right, right. Oh, I
Overall, I
love
would
this
say the game
bit.
has aged very well. But
Yeah, if you
I'm
guys are watching on video, if you're watching the podcast on some kind of video, this bit that we're watching right now was one of my favorites. There's several parts in the game where you need to navigate through lasers like a super spy, because
mhm.
you're a super spy, Sly Cooper, thief guy,
I was gonna say
right?
more of a thief than a
Oh, he's a thief.
than a
Yeah, he's not a
spy,
super
but
spy.
he
But
could
yeah,
be a
like
spy though. He could
also
if he
like a
wanted
thief
to.
would have to do. A thief would have to navigate the lasers to steal the jewel, right?
Right, right, right.
Um, but it was done vertically, and I haven't encountered another spot in the game like that. I thought it was really
There
cool,
is.
that first
There
section.
is definitely more spots like that.
Gotcha.
Not to say that it overstays its welcome or anything like that, but it definitely
Mhm.
happens more than a couple
Yeah.
times in the game.
So it
Um,
just bird's eye and follows you
yeah.
down as
For
you
anyone
jump
who's
through.
curious, by the way, if you're watching or listening to the audio version and somehow
Right.
don't know what Sly Cooper is a action adventure platforming game.
Yep.
And you're playing through levels, just collecting things and getting to the end, killing enemies that stand in your way. But you play as a
Mhm.
mischievous little raccoon with his helper turtle, the smart guy. What's his
Mhm.
name? Murray? No, Murray's the other one. I always forget the turtle's
Bentley.
name. Bentley,
Bentley the
thank you.
turtle.
And
Uh-huh.
then you have Murray the hippo, I think he's meant to be? Question
Yeah.
mark.
Yep.
Anyways, he's kind
Yeah,
of
he's a hippo.
he's the mixture of comic relief and getaway driver, right? And you guys all
Uh-huh.
together make up this thief extraordinaire, right? That is Sly Cooper, and he comes
Yeah.
from a long line of thieves, right? He has a whole
Uh-huh.
ancestry of it. And the plot of the game is that one of the a different criminal in the underground that has no honor among thieves. Anyways,
Right.
they like steal your history, the book of thieves that your
Mhm.
family has curated and written over the years that contains all the secrets on how to be a master thief and has scattered the pages of it all over the world. So your goal basically is to collect those and deal with, the big bad at the end of the game, of course, all while dodging the, I believe, also fox, right?
Mhm.
Carmelita, she's a fox as well,
Yeah.
who is like your international super cop lady. I'm sure there's a better word for that, but who is trying to hunt you
Right.
down while all this is
Right.
going on. Um,
Right. Yeah.
so story
Your antip
wise, it's like just it's there's enough of a story to give you something, but it
Oh,
really is
yeah.
just kind of meant to be, I feel, this cheesy kind of uh I don't know, cat and mouse game kind of thing going on, it's
Sure.
it's just
Yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah.
I don't think the story is meant to be important, but it's there
Uh-huh.
if you really care about that sort of thing.
Right,
um
yeah.
and it's as a child it was fun, right? it's
Oh,
it's got
yeah.
its funny moments. Murray is a sometimes lovable, usually annoying comic relief of
Right.
a character.
Right.
Bentley is that know-it-all that is helpful but really gets on your nerves. And then
Mhm.
Sly Cooper is your smooth talking thief guy that you play as, of course.
I love
And
it. I
there's
love
lay exit. Hmm.
I love his weapon. His
Yes, the
weapon
crook.
slash tool.
Yep, yep. I love the
I think
fact
it's
that his
pretty cool.
weapon is like a staff with a hook on the top of it. You could call it a crook.
Right.
And he is, a thief, a form of a crook. I've always thought that was a fun little thing as well.
Fun. It's in the shape of a C.
Yes,
Probably for Cooper.
kinda. Maybe.
Right.
I don't
Maybe
know.
for Crook. Maybe for Crook or Crooper or Crook or Coop Coop Poop. Crook or
Crick or
Coop
coop
Poop Poop.
coop. Yep, that's
Absolutely.
uh,
So you got yeah, he's the so the Thievius Raccoonus. Once he's found all the pages, he'll have constructed the ultimate guide to becoming a master thief.
mhm,
But he is a thief with honor, obviously, because he's our protagonist. He has to have redeeming qualities. He doesn't just rob people blind, because he explains that that's not any kind of challenge and that's not fair or fun to
mhm,
rob people that don't have much. He said, no, 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 you steal from other thieves.
mhm.
If you steal from other thieves, then you are a master thief because you've outsmarted and outfoxed all the other thieves. Ha ha ha. Outfoxed, right?
That's
So,
exactly how he says it too. Yep, yep, yep.
right,
Mhm.
right, right, right. But I mean, I know he's not a fox; he's a raccoon. But the other one is a fox.
Uh,
So anyway, you it's fun. That's the thing about this game. It doesn't draw you in with some kind of big story because it doesn't need to. It's from a classic age of 3D action platformers that doesn't really exist anymore, but they are trying to revive it with revivals of games like this, right?
mhm.
Like, well, I say like this in the same broad umbrella genre of 3D action platformer, right?
Right. It's just that's
Like
the thing. Like
Spyro,
3D platformers in
Crash,
general are having a
right?
resurgence right now, I think is
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the thing.
yeah.
Not necessarily
Ukulele.
like Slithe itself.
No, not exactly like the game, but just that broad umbrella genre. People are wanting this style of game back. Like I would put this on the shelf along with Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter.
Sure.
For
Yeah.
if you like these, you might like this, right?
Yeah, in
Um,
more ways than one, because it was also kind of
yeah,
in that time period of mascot characters, right? Where you
right.
had this
Nasty
witty,
mascots.
wisecracking, animal, usually protagonist
Uh,
that was just a perfect mascot for a game. Like you
right.
mentioned, you had
Mhm,
Sly Cooper didn't really take off in the same way, but you had like Sly Cooper, Ratchet, and Jack all kind of in that
mhm.
category together. They all
Right,
were the same sort of role of character and also very different games, all three of them, don't get me wrong,
right,
but still all 3D action platformers at the
right, right,
same
right.
time. So,
Yeah, 3D action platformers meant for tweens, right?
yeah, 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 yeah,
I was like, or just older kids, 8, 9,
yeah,
10, right?
for
But
sure.
anyway,
Yeah.
I had a ton of fun playing this game. I thought that it was really, really crisp in ways that even Jack and Daxter isn't. But to be
Hmm.
fair, Jack and Daxter came first. That was 2001. I think I looked it up, and this was 2002, 4, something like
They're
that.
all early games in the PS2 life
I
cycle,
think
but I
this
don't
was
remember when.
2002. Yeah. Um, but I like it a lot. It flows really well. I like the way that Sly moves. I feel like he moves a little less clunky than some PS2 characters that I've played recently, like uh freaking Rugrat characters and stuff like that. Those guys aren't moving too smooth. Sly moves smooth. I love
Right.
his dash move. I use that
Mhm.
to get through anytime there's a security light that I need to
Yes.
dodge. That's really cool. So
Which
we've talked a lot about how cool Sly Cooper is as a character, how much we love the game and the art style and things like that. What else about the gameplay is enticing to you?
Right. Well, and that's you mentioned like the different moves. One of the things that I really liked about it is this game kind of gave you completionist bonuses in the way that you could get to the end of a level and that was, that was good enough. You could go on to the next section. But every level has little icons on it, and those little icons, three icons to be specific. One is for getting the key and getting out of the level. That's, your main one. But then
Hmm.
you can also find little clues hidden throughout the level. And if you collect all anywhere from like 15 to 30 of them or somewhere around there, then
Hmm.
at somewhere in the level there would also be a safe hidden and you could use those clues to give to Bentley and he would use those to crack the code so that you could open the safe and inside that
Right.
safe would be another page from the book. And since the pages of the book have all of the secret moves of your ancestors on how to be master thieves, you would now learn new moves, new attacks you could do. Are just one example. I also remember from my time playing recently that one of them gave you, excuse me, a magnet ability. So like coins and things that are near you would be sucked into
Fun.
you. Just different little gameplay elements, different little tweaks like that
Right.
for taking the time to search through the level and collect everything, right? Which is
Right.
really nice. I love that sort of thing. And then finally, the last little icon was for the people who wanted to do, I think it's time trials if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure you can unlock time trials of the different levels and get through them
Yeah.
as quickly as possible. And if you
Yeah.
beat them in a certain under a certain amount of time, you would unlock that one too. And I don't know if
Sweet.
there's some sort of bonus for beating the time trial or not. I think that's the one thing as a kid I didn't do. I collected
Hmm.
all of the stuff, but I don't think I did the time trial. So I'm not sure if there's a
Right.
reward for that, but I still appreciate its inclusion, right? It was another
Yeah.
little thing to give life
Hmm.
to the game and to give
Well, I
you a reason
imagine
to
it
replay the levels.
probably factors into the percentage that's displayed
Oh, I'm sure.
when
Yeah, in
you
between
pause
levels.
the game.
Yeah.
Probably your percentage of the game that you've completed. You haven't
Oh,
hundred
yeah.
percented the game until you've done all the time trials,
I'm positive. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
something like that. Just an extra bragging rights, right? Back in the day, I
Oh, for
beat all
sure.
the Sly Cooper
Yeah.
levels in 60 seconds or less. So, you know, that's
I got
pretty. It's
110%. That's not even possible. Yeah, it
right,
is.
hundred
My
and ten
uncle at
percent.
Nintendo.
Right.
Um
Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
Yes.
But so anyway, there is a focus on stealth in this game. Christian, I know historically you don't favor stealth mechanics too much, but I feel like they're not too forced here and they're not too
No.
touchy. They're
Yeah.
pretty easily avoidable or beatable and they're fun to navigate because how much fun the character is to move around.
Mhm.
How do,
Yeah.
how what are you thinking on the stealth
Yeah,
in this game?
so what he means is like so you are a thief obviously. So as you're trying to break into these enemy headquarters and steal things from them and whatnot, there are, other characters with cone of vision that can set off alarms. There are spotlight towers, laser beams, all different kinds of things you can trigger. And
Right.
some of them will kill you instantly if you get caught twice. You can get caught once, and getting caught just sets off the alarm, which will make more enemies come running for you, or can
Hmm.
make like the spotlight towers, for instance, can turn them deadly. Right,
Hmm.
so the spotlight sees you. Now it turns red. It searches more frantically, and if it touches you again, you're dead. Um,
Right.
so it's not like an instant you get caught and you lose
Mhm.
thing in most cases, which I appreciate.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's not really. I don't know. Like it is technically
But
stealth, I guess, but it doesn't
yeah.
feel like a stealth game. So it
Well,
always got the pass for me on that.
I think what you mean is it doesn't feel frustrating. And I
Sure,
think maybe
sure,
more stealth
yeah.
games should take some hints from these kind of gameplay mechanics and not make their characters so frustrating to move. Because I think maybe some
Right, right,
people
holy hell, yeah.
mix up the idea of stealth with a stiff character. Your character doesn't have to be stiff. They can be animated, they can be fun to control. When they're not doing stealth, to incent, but make stealth the incentive, I'm gonna
Right,
beat this level with stealth, or I'm gonna get to this special area with stealth so that I can unlock something, like this game does. This
yeah.
game, it's all just a part of the fun. Sly Cooper is a thief, so of course he has to be stealthy and avoid spotlights. It doesn't make much sense why they're there. Why can they kill him? It doesn't
Right.
matter.
It
It's
doesn't
fun.
matter. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter. They really did take the Nintendo approach, I feel like, right? Fun first.
yeah,
That's
fun
that
first.
was the focus of the game. Make it a
Mhm.
fun experience, and everything else kind of comes second to that.
Right,
As
right,
long
right,
as
right.
the game is fun to play, hours
Hmm.
upon hours, then we did our job. Like that's
Right,
what's most important here,
exactly.
and I would definitely say they
Yeah.
accomplished that. But like other things that I like that they added into the game on the for the stealth aspect, like
Hmm.
the spotlight towers and laser beams and things like that. I mentioned they set
Yeah.
off an alarm. That alarm
Hmm.
is usually in the form of a klaxon that you can actually find and destroy. And whenever
Yeah.
you destroy it, well, now all of the spotlights or lasers or whatever, they go out. They're no longer there. So then
Hmm.
you can just run back. If there was something that was really hard for you to get, some coins or some clues or something like that, you can just
Hmm.
make your way through the stealth section, destroy the alarm that those would have set off, and now you're scot free to just go backwards and collect all of the things that you couldn't before, which is another thing that I feel like
Right.
helps with the frustration aspect of it, right? Because if you were forced to try to get these things with that pressure of this spotlight that every you basically have to be frame perfect to get this item to get through that spotlight. Well, yeah, you can do it that way, or you can just walk to the end, destroy the klaxon, go back and get it at your own leisure, which I appreciate because, like John said, I'm not a huge stealth game person. Generally speaking, I've been opening up to them more. Um, but anyways, and it also helps with one of the other defining characteristics, and not in a good way, I feel, of stealth games, which is
Mhm.
waiting constantly, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
many stealth games will
Right.
have you standing around waiting for ungodly amounts of time, and
Right.
it's just that's not fun.
Right,
Like
exactly. No.
it's
You're
fun
just
the
yeah,
first time
yeah.
when you're figuring out the pattern or whatever, but after that it's
Mhm.
just like I just want to play the game now.
Right, exactly. Now, my one complaint, Christian, I will
Yeah.
say, what is going on with the one-hit game over?
Yes. Well, okay. Yes,
It's
there
not
there
a
is
game
that.
over,
It's
technically. It
right.
it's very fair with where it leaves you off and
Mhm.
continues you, but why not? Like, you can collect an item, you can collect a horseshoe, and it gives
Yes,
you an
that
extra
would give
hit.
you extra hits. Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, but, like, you either have to find a horseshoe in the level, or you have to get 100 coins in order to
Yes.
get a horseshoe,
Yeah.
and that, I think, is a little unforgiving.
I
It's
I
not
s
it's not that bad. It didn't
it's
bother me,
not.
it didn't ruin my fun, you know what I mean? I still played the game, I had a ton of fun, and spoilers, I would play just one more level. In fact, I
Oh,
might
for
before
sure.
I give this game back to
Right.
you. But, um, I think, why not maybe just 3. Why not 3? Not
Right.
a health bar, not a giant amount of health, not regenerative health, maybe just 3, so I'm not
S
stopped. That's
yeah.
the only thing I think it did. I don't think it's unfair or unforgiving. I think it just kinda breaks up the pacing, the flow a
I
little bit.
think I think it kind of reinforces the idea that you are a thief, not not an action star or something like
Oh,
that, right?
okay, okay.
You're
I can
meant to be
see, yeah.
squishy. You're meant to die easily because you're supposed to
Oh,
use you're supposed to use your mind and get through these
okay,
obstacles instead of
right.
just running through it. And I
Gotcha.
think with the way they design the levels too,
Mhm.
adding too many additional hits would kind of ruin the pacing of the level actually,
You
because
think so? Okay,
say the
fair.
three hits was the norm here, right? In the
Okay,
first couple of levels, for instance, you could basically just run through the level ignoring any stealth aspects at all,
that's
because
true.
there's only like two or three areas where that are challenging at all to get through, so you could just be like, I'll
Totally.
take those hits, it's fine, and then not even worry about it. Now, with that said, if it weren't for the way they laid out the levels, they totally could have
Mhm.
made a three hit system work, I think, very well.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
I think they knew what they were doing and laid out the levels accordingly. And you also mentioned like the checkpoint system being very forgiving.
Yeah,
And
it is.
for me, I think that's why I don't mind it at all. Just
Yeah.
just to be honest, because
Right.
you
Yeah.
never really lose more than a couple minutes of progress at most.
Yeah. Uh,
Whenever you die, and if you
even
get a
when
complete
I
game over, you just
right.
restart the level that you're on. Like you don't lose any real progress. It's just that level that you're on, and even the
Mhm.
longest levels in this game are only like 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
this
not
is,
that bad.
a point that, both, made me like this game even more and also made me very upset for some of the PS2 games that I have played that I know could have pulled this off.
Right,
This
right.
game has an autosave.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
This
yeah.
game auto saves. This, game says when this icon appears, your game is auto saving, and I said,
Mhm.
"What on earth?" This was 2002.
Yeah.
2002, they had auto save down pat. You're telling me that, and not just down pat, Christian, I had to turn off my system when I had it paused, okay? Because I had, as I was telling him before we started recording here, I had company today, and that company included my nephews, which are 8 and 2. So things get messed with.
Right, yeah.
And but the PlayStation had to be turned off, right? And it had to be turned off on kind of a quick note because I had to just divert attention, right, and turn it off real quick. When I turned it back on, I dropped in right where I was.
Right? Isn't that awesome? Like, it
Right where
works
I was.
so well.
Yeah,
The
it
checkpoint
does.
system really is it's really good. They handled it really well.
Yeah.
Um, so if it's not clear, the checkpoint system, by the way, as you're going through the level, there's a little, I don't know if they're meant to be cameras or what they are, but like you'll get near it and you'll hear like a camera flash kind of sound, and
Uh-huh.
it saves your progress in the level there. And
Yeah.
anytime you die or like John mentioned, have to turn off the console or something like that, you just get to go
Mhm.
right back to that point, and
Right.
it works really well. And again, I think it speaks volumes to the level design, because
Mhm.
they could have had a checkpoint system like they have, but if the levels were very large and those checkpoints were, 5 times
Let's
as
spread
far
out.
apart or whatever, because of
Mhm.
just the sheer amount of level, I think it wouldn't have felt as clean, as polished as it is. Um
Yeah. Christian,
so
this
like
almost has the same energy to me as like a runner,
uh,
you know?
kind of. I mean, like you can certainly run through the levels, and I think
I
they were
could
designed with
I could
that
kinda
in
play
mind.
yeah, I could
Uh,
just because of the time trials and things, I could play
yeah.
this game like this game is perfect for speedrunners
Yes.
or even,
I yeah.
people that like, I'd even say like, Temple Run.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a little much.
No, it's a bridge too far, maybe, but I think if you like Temple Run, you'll like Sly Cooper. That's
Maybe.
my official opinion, guys. It's just
Give it a
like
shot.
Castlevania.
Let us know.
That's
Let
it.
us know. Let
In
us know if
reality,
you
it's
like this
just
and
like
Castlevania.
Castlevania.
Um, but no, and it goes back to a point that I've made before, where I honestly, the older I get, the more I'm leaning towards smaller, more concise levels, right? With
Mhm,
some branching paths that you can take, but a clear objective, a
yeah,
clear path to follow. Um,
mhm,
don't get me wrong, I love large open world experiences. Breath of the Wild, for instance, very open experience, and I absolutely loved it. One of my favorite games of the past decade. But
right.
there's
There's
so many
always
open world games that just aren't done very well, and
yeah,
that makes me yearn for games like Sly Cooper, where
uh-huh,
it's a relatively short level, so finding all of the little secrets and things doesn't take too much time, but some of them are well hidden and can be difficult to find, but it's not, a 6-hour experience trying to find that last stupid feather in Assassin's Creed
no,
or whatever. No,
yeah,
instead it's, "Oh, hey, I see I didn't collect all of the things in this level of this game. 10 minutes
mhm,
later, I think I found it now." Like, because this level only takes
right,
15 minutes to play through and I've beaten it twice
right,
already.
right,
Like, and I
exactly,
and I
yeah,
appreciate that. I have the same complaint with Kingdom Hearts 3 versus the other Kingdom Hearts. They made the levels in Kingdom Hearts 3 so much larger,
wow,
and
mhm,
seamless, like without individual sections. It's basically just one giant level now, and I actually
gotcha,
think that's a detriment to the game. I preferred the
right,
design of 1 and 2, where you had smaller chunks of levels that you would play
mhm,
through. And it helps with the flow of the experience. And at the end of the day, I think that's exactly what they nailed with Sly Cooper. It has an excellent
exactly,
flow. There's definitely
it does,
some levels that break it up and don't play as well, but
right,
overall they nailed it. Like, it's
yeah, exactly,
very fun to play at the end of the
mhm.
day, and that's what makes the game, man. It is fun to play. We've said it
Yeah,
already, but
that's
that's
what makes a good
honestly
game.
that's that's all there is to it. It's
That's
a
all there is
fun
to it.
game.
Mhm. That's why Tetris and checkers are fun, right?
Yeah. Right.
Simple
Infinitely
concept, but
replayable.
infinitely replayable, exactly. Right? Great, great stuff. So, last little bit here.
Mhm.
I'm trying to vamp while I remember what I was going to say.
You got this. We all
Um,
believe in you.
yeah, Christian, well, in the meantime, Christian, do you have anything else to say about Sly Cooper? Any other,
I mean,
positive
we
things? Any
talked
other
about
faults that
all
you
of
want to
the
point out?
yeah. We talked about all of the good, right? There is a tiny bit of
Okay.
bad, and I do just mean a tiny bit. The
Yeah.
tutorials can be a little bit much at times in the
Okay.
game,
Yep.
and I think that's because they didn't exactly know what their audience were, if it was going to be like younger kids, if it was going to be the
Right.
tweens or whatever. So I think they
Right.
tried to strike a balance with it, but I think they went a little too tutorial heavy. I will say that. And then there is a little bit of jank every now and then, like one of the ropes early on in the game. I was trying to climb it up
Mm.
one direction, but every time I'd get halfway up it, it would force me to start climbing the other way, even though I was holding the
Oh, yeah.
button in the same direction that I was holding it to get to that halfway point. Little things like
Okay.
that. So there are little things that didn't age perfectly, but honestly,
Right.
not nearly enough to make the experience of playing the game bad. Not even
Yeah.
close. Like
This would have blown your socks off back in 2002 if you were a kid that 2002, it's perfectly feasible and even reasonable that you
mhm.
wouldn't have played a PlayStation 2 yet, right?
Well,
You
no,
still had
like I
your
said,
PlayStation
this
1.
was legit to the best of my memory, my first PS2 game, right?
Right.
And
So
yeah, I
this is your exposure coming from PS1 to this. Like
mind
if
blown.
you're talking like yeah, if you're talking like a clunky PS1 game, maybe not the smoothest one,
Right.
like a clunkier PS1 game that we all had, and then you jump up to this. That's like jumping from the Atari to the NES. I mean,
Right. Yeah. It's a
it's a
big leap.
big
And
leap.
like this game honestly could have came out, yesterday, just with
Yeah,
high def graphics and widescreen
exactly.
support, and I
Hmm.
would have still said it's an excellent game, right? It's not like one of those
Yeah.
games where like, yeah, it was really good for its time. No, this is just a
No,
good game, guys. Like
it
this is
is.
just
Yeah.
legitimately a good game. It could have came out yesterday and I would be saying the same things about it.
That's
Like
what shocked
there's
me about how the graphics and how the camera moves. The camera moves so effortlessly.
mhm. Mhm.
It's easy to control Sly. It's easy to control the environments and to, like move the camera exactly where you need it and all that kind of fun
Right.
stuff. All of those things were not perfected on the PlayStation 2. Like
Mhm.
there were plenty of games. We have just played. You have definitely played
Yeah,
plenty of
yeah.
games that, have definitely not perfected 3D,
No,
platforming control,
don't
even though it had already been
perform
out
nearly as
for
well.
years.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So this feels like perfected 3D platforming, like something from the PS3 at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's fantastic stuff. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't remember what else I was going to say, but I don't think it was much important. We've both said that we adore the game, and
Mhm.
I would absolutely play just one more level, Christian.
Yes. Oh, 100%. I'm already have put this on my list of games that I plan on completing, most likely on stream at some point. But even if they don't want to see it on stream, I'm going to end up completing this game again because I love it. It's really really good. There are HD remasters of it for either the PS3 or 4. I forget which one, but there is a Sly Cooper collection that you can get and play if you don't have the means to play a PS2 game or whatever. Um, if you do though, I believe there were 3
Yeah, I think
Sly
so.
games for PS2,
That sounds right.
and I only have real experience with the first one, but I
Gotcha.
can't imagine they fucked up the second and third one that bad. Like I
Probably
find it
not.
I find it hard to
Um,
believe unless it's switched developers or something like that. But
I'd be really
um,
excited to see what they have to offer.
mm,
Like what's different about them? What kind of new controls do we have with the new Sly Cooper game?
fair, yeah,
Like
fair. I think
what kind of new moves or something like that?
I don't remember which game, but if I remember correctly, one of them introduces the ability to play as other characters.
Oh, fun.
So that
Okay.
switches it up a
I
bit.
would
I'm
love to
pretty I'm
play as
pretty sure,
Bentley.
but yeah, I'm interested in that as well, honestly. And I mean, I plan on picking up the other games for the PS2 here soon. One of our
Okay.
viewers, Nate, did just mention that there is a Sly 4 game that came out for either
Oh,
PS3 or 4. I don't remember which
nice.
one
Okay.
either, but I
Yeah.
again, I only really have experience with the first one, so I can only really make an
Man,
opinion
I
about
mean,
that one.
it would
But
it
I
would take no effort at all to put this back out on the 4 or 5. I mean,
right, yeah.
really, I mean, you
Yeah.
would just do a texture reskin and hire
Test
some fans. I'm sure plenty of them would do it for free.
Don't work for large companies for free, guys, even if you do
No,
love
don't work
a
for free.
product.
Don't
But
work for
anyways,
free. Who said that?
yeah, no, I mean, that's what I
Yeah,
was saying though. Like if this
yeah.
game released yesterday and I paid, 50, $60 or whatever for it, I
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
have been mad. Like I would have
No,
been, hey, yeah, I got a cool game. Like that's
absolutely.
it's that
Yeah.
good of a game. And it's not very often we say that about games
Mhm.
here. Most of these older games that we play, we're like, yeah, it's really good. If you have a PS2 and a copy of it laying around or can find one for a decent price, try it out or whatever. No, like this
Right.
one, you should just legit try it out. It's just a really good game. Like whether it's for
Absolutely.
PS3,
I
4,
mean,
2, whatever, it's thumbs up.
especially, it reminds me of, like, the newer Ratchet& and Clank games that I've seen, like, how smooth
Oh
everything
man,
goes.
Rift in Time is so good. You need to get a
Yeah.
PS5.
Well,
But
that's a tall glass of
yes, no,
too
I understand.
expensive and
I
not
understand.
enough of them right now.
100% understand. But it's just Rift in Time is so
But,
good.
yeah, absolutely. I would hands down, I would love to do more on the PS4, and I think that, the current state of games, well, we can talk about this on our gaming podcast, right? And
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
given
yeah,
the
for
current
sure.
state of games, the PS4 is probably gonna be experiencing a much longer shelf life than, prior games of its,
Yeah.
generation,
I mean,
or
they're
prior
starting
games
to
of some
ramp it down
previous
now,
generation.
but
Yeah.
for sure, you're right.
Mhm.
I think it's a mixture of the everything that's been going on in the world with COVID. I think it's a mixture of that and just the lack of next gen consoles for people to buy. Right, like they've
Right.
been selling very well, but
Mhm.
there's not as many out there as people want to buy.
Right.
So I feel like a lot of developers have put off moving entirely to the new generation for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sony has done some stuff exclusive for PS5, like Rift in Time, for instance.
Mhm.
But there, and I believe the new Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, I'm pretty sure is exclusive to PS5.
Oh, that's
But
lame.
even the new God of War game Ragnarok, though, I'm pretty sure that's a cross gen one, which is
Yeah,
obviously a huge franchise for Sony.
it is.
So even Sony first party studios are kind of like, we'll support the PS4 for a little bit longer at least, and we are what technically, excuse me, I'm sorry, technically 2 almost 3 years into the PS5
Mhm.
lifespan at this point. So like it's the PS4 is aging, man,
It
um
is. It is,
but
but
it's
I think that, I think maybe it's just a product of the time, right? I think maybe there was a bit of a stall with software,
mm,
that we haven't had in previous generations maybe, because anytime I've seen a game generation leap forward, it's always been, wow, I'm blown away by how
well,
much better this
yeah,
looks than the last thing. But the PS3 to the PS4 was the first time I saw that gap close a little,
yeah,
like the PS4 had some great stuff that the PS3 definitely couldn't do, or at least they didn't make it do. But
right.
the PS4 to the PS5, and now that gap's getting just a little bit smaller,
Yeah.
you know?
There's
So
certainly some cool things that can only be done on PS5. You have like your ray tracing, next
mhm,
to no load times on video games when
right.
implemented correctly. The
Mhm.
cool stuff that they got going on with the triggers and 3D audio and stuff like that. Like there's
Right,
certainly
right, right.
cool things, but at the end
Right,
of the day, it's essentially the difference between running a PC game on max settings or running a PC game on low to medium settings. Like
right.
that's that's the
Mhm.
difference between a PS4 and PS5 really at the end of
Yeah,
the day. So it's
right.
like, yeah, it's just the gap between those two isn't large enough to, I think, discourage a lot of people from
Right.
making cross-gen games. And this is one of the first
Yeah.
times too where the architecture is essentially the same thing, right?
Mhm.
Just like from one generation of PC to the next, where it's just
Right.
the same thing but more powerful. That's essentially what the PS5 and Xbox Series are. They're just
More
vastly
powerful
upgraded.
versions.
Yeah. So I mean, like it takes very little work from a developer side to get them to work cross gen, which is
Uh-huh.
an incentive to sell for last generation stuff because a lot of people own those. So if we can, then why not? And since the power is relatively close and they can just turn down the resolution a little bit, maybe close that view distance up, tweak those shadow resolutions,
Right.
disable the anti-aliasing or whatever, and then oh, there we go, we got 30 FPS at least. Then Yeah, why
Now
wouldn't
it's a
they?
PS4
You
game.
know? Yeah. Like, so
Like I mean, I think yeah, it's just a little bit of a closing gap. I don't know, Christian. I might wait for the PS6, and they're gonna have to impress me. I want
Uh,
I want it to come with a VR headset factory. I want it I want it to I
uh,
want no more load times. Come on, this
mhm,
is
mhm.
PlayStation 6. What year is it?
6,
Come on.
guys, 6. That'll be
Fix it.
2028.
2028 at least, right? No more load times. I want full backwards compatibility. Stop telling me you can't do it. I know you can. Do it. Just do it.
Uh,
No one's out here pirating PS1 games. Anybody that cares about pirating a PS1 game downloaded it on their computer. Stop giving me nonsense, Sony.
Oh
That's just
god.
that's just how
Um,
I feel.
so his rant
This uh,
aside though,
this podcast must
yeah,
come with an
yeah.
asterisk on the title. Sly Cooper and PS and the PlayStation generation. Something. It'll be fine. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. I think it's clear that we have nothing else to say about Sly. So
Uh,
wrap it up.
enough right now. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Guys, thank you so much everybody for watching and or listening on your podcast provider of choice. We appreciate it because you don't have to, but you do, and that's why we appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you guys.
And until next time.
Be kind to each other. I'm screwing up
Mhm.
my own intro thing and
Uh-huh.
bye-bye everyone.
Bye-bye.